Hey, welcome back everybody to RJ's Boat Shack. We're going to get into part two here. We're going to do some sand and fill followed by some paint prep, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about some transom work here. Right now, instead of running back to the tool crib, I just pack up a mini toolbox to keep next to the boat with some miscellaneous stuff, screwdrivers, a chisel, a marker, tape measure, some sandpaper, and then this flex glue, which I'm sure you've seen the infomercials for. It works pretty decent. It's like any other caulking material. We found one pitted area on the boat that we wanted to address. Luckily, it's not somewhere that was going to get a lot of underwater action, but just wanted to keep things flush. Usually, if we had anything pitted on the bottom of the boat, we would use JB weld, or maybe even start welding now that I have access to an aluminum welder. So there we go. We got a hammer. We got our wire brush, safety goggles. We're going to do some grinding potentially as well. So, protect your eyes. And tape measure is going to go back into our transom conversation later on. Again, safety, safety, safety. And finally, for that caulking material, just got a little putty spreader right now, and we'll do a demonstration of that as well. Getting into it, we're going to start sanding the exterior of the boat. This, pretty quick process. We're not going down to bare metal. We just want to, scruff things up. So, getting a lot of that old paint, a lot of debris off of it. So, going to focus on the exterior hull at first and get into a little bit more detailed area like the guardrails, just to keep things clean using the blower. Here's a quick before and after, half and half shot. And here we do the other half. Really, just you can see a lot of debris coming off. So here it is all cleaned up. And this, as we addressed in the previous video, these were really kind of nasty. Luckily, they're more cosmetic, if anything. So we're just going to get those down to bare metal before we decide if we're going to, do some JB weld or actually do some aluminum welding and get those, filled in. But to start, it's going to have to be bare metal, and that's going to help with adhesion down the road. So, got another shot too where we got all three of those just real quick instead of watching the angle grinder. So now we got all three prepped. We'll see how that turns out. That'll be in the next video. We'll get those finalized. And here's that pitted area. So we're just going to sand over that just to kind of keep a clean edge. Same thing with the entire gun rail. You can see the debris coming off. So that we just sandpaper and then wire wheeled around the perimeter of the boat. A little fine tuning in that area. We're going to touch up with that caulking. So, and then inside the boat, again, we're not going down to bare metal. We are just trying to scruff things up so we have better adhesion for the paint when we do paint. Here it is, totally cleared out. That's about as scrubbed and sanded as it's going to get before we start applying paint. And our transom we're going to get into as well. So here's that area, and we're going to use the flex glue, which is like any other caulking material. It's going to firm up and adhere the way we want it, and it'll give it a little bit of a cleaner edge. So just going to apply that in there. Obviously I used too much, so we're going to clean up the excess afterwards as well. Take our putty spreader and get that line kind of straightened out and cleaned up. So, again, this is more of a cosmetic thing, but didn't want to, it felt odd when I first looked over it, so getting that addressed. Oh yeah, way too much. Excess. So, we'll get that cleaned up. We've got a rag on hand. So, there it is. Get all that goop. And then here, a lot of boats, they come with older tags on them. Maybe we don't want those. Those are just blind rivets. So, tore that off. And then some stickers. There's going to be random stickers, either permits, previous registrations. And then this was a manufacturer tag that was on there. Probably just said Duratec on it, and that's been long gone. Also blind rivets. And here's our sanded transom. It came out okay. We're going to paint it. Picked a gray color. It's just an exterior paint. And again, we're using a basic 3-inch brush. We're going to stir that up, and we'll see how that comes out. So, pretty decent color, kind of conservative. I find, like, when you sell these boats, people don't want a lot of funky, crazy colors. Stick to your grays, whites, blues, a little bit black for an accent piece. And yeah, applies easy, applies thick. You're going to only need one coat. So you know, we're pretty generous with it. Covered that. Everything was in good shape. The wood wasn't rotted. Got tucked in into those corners as well with the paint. So if we were going to restore this with a new transom, we would just, you know, take an outline. And here we go. We got our boat totally sanded down. Next step's going to be paint after we fill in those railings on the back. Inside, same deal. Our transom's nice and painted, and we're ready for paint on the inside. So that'll be the next video. We'll get some metalwork addressed. Thank you.